Good morning. We are here to present you the people that are going to do this conference. And first of all, we have Dani de la Torre, and he's an expert at the Council of Europe in intercultural policies and the director of Diversit, from where they coordinate basically the Spanish network of intercultural cities. And he also promotes the Anti-Rumors Global Project, which has been helping and training different agents from more than 20 different countries in the anti-rumors strategy, which he promoted during his time as a commissioner for the immigration in Barcelona.
And one of his main motivations is how to link equity and criminal thinking with process of social transformation in cities, while still insisting on learning to play the guitar.
Hi, hello, thank you so much, everybody. Well, we start this session, and thank you so much for this presentation. I understood at some point that I'm an expert on criminal thinking. I won't say that was more critical thinking, but I'm happy that we have even people from the police, that they are much more expert than me on this field. Anyway, I want please to invite here Fahim and Kingsley, please join me. This session, it's going to be a bit dynamic, so it's not going to be like 3 boring presentations from each city, like blah, blah, we've done all of this. We try to keep it more like a conversation, and then after the experts, we say something, and we will give the floor to some ambassadors from each country, okay? So first of all, sorry, let me start by, I can't avoid to thank some people, okay, before we start, because it's a great thing to be here today. It's so exciting, finally, different ambassadors mixing, knowing each other. It's been a long journey to get here, and the last days especially, it's been very intense in Santa Coloma, so I really want to thank the local team. Isa, it's not here now, but they've been coordinating a great team, and especially I want to put in value the work done by Belen on the last days and all the team. I also want to appreciate the role, the work of the ambassadors. I have to say, after we will talk about how the trainings were and what experiences and what learnings and many things, but I want to start confessing something, is that I learned a lot from the ambassadors. It's been an amazing experience, and I learned a lot from their commitment, from also their know-how, their experiences. So I feel like it's been a privilege to be part of this. I've done trainings in many places and countries and profiles of people, but it was quite a long time. I didn't have the opportunity to deal with youngsters, and for me, really, it's been an amazing experience. So anyway, I also want to mention a few people, like the people from the Xarxa de Valors in Santa Coloma, like Bego, David, that they've been in almost, I would say, all the training sessions, and they allowed to foster the cohesion of the group, but also to link them with the city projects experiences, especially the Xarxa de Valors projects, that many others. And of course, Rafa Crespo, the other trainer, it's a great expert on interculturalism and anti-rumors. And the people from the Universidad Autónoma de Barcelona, we work together on this. They are the partners, and they are also been a great support. Anyway, so let's start in this session. So the idea was, let's share. Of course, this is about sharing knowledge, and Francesca was saying this is one of the best things of the European projects. I totally agree. It's also about, the European projects also allow you to break down stereotypes about Germans are the most punctual people in Europe. Sorry about that. It was just a joke. But we feel all the stereotypes about the Spanish. Always we are late, we are in parties. I'm not saying it's not part of true, but there are other things that break stereotypes. And I think European projects are a good opportunity to know each other and to break rumors and stereotypes in all sense. So let's start by saying, okay, how was the training from your perspective? I'm here, Fahim. I think you have been a trainer. You've been in charge of this. You've been more tutor, one of the tutors of the group. So you have a first-hand feeling and perspective of how was this training. Then we'll listen to the people that are the protagonists of the trainings. But can you just identify some elements of the training that you consider that have been relevant in terms of practices, in terms of tools, in terms of contents, something that you would like to share with the other people and countries? Fahim, you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you I would like to start with a thank you as well for the amazing group that I have from Germany, and it was my first experience. Yes, you can clap if you like to. Thank you very much. And especially for Pro Arbeit with Bettina and the head of Pro Arbeit as well, which is here as well. Thank you very much. And I would like to introduce myself first. I'm Fahim Ahmed, and I'm the head of the Academy of An-Nusrat in Germany. And what we do is we do a lot of things. We have, because An-Nusrat is the first, because you have a welfare system in Germany. So you have the diaconie, which is motivated by Catholics. And so we have different welfare organizations which are motivated in a religion. And An-Nusrat is the first welfare organization in Germany that is motivated by the Islam. And so we are. So I'm happy to be here and first time joining a European project like that, and I'm glad that I'm hosted, and I'm glad for Santa Coloma as well, and for the Spanish people that they have welcomed us, even if we were not punctual at times, that they have waited for us for 2 hours yesterday. To start your question, yes, it was amazing, because hate speech, you cannot teach hate speech if you don't show examples of it, and if you don't show examples of people that have experienced hate speech firsthand. So you have to rethink your methodology to teach hate speech and to teach counter strategies against hate speech, because it's not like you can just go with a presentation and just a slide after another with texts and stuff like that. You have to do a more hands-on experience, and that's why it was very important for the Discord, the part that we had, where one group was, and what we have heard earlier today, where one group was the counterpart of hate speech, and one part was doing the hate speech. So, and that we did it in the beginning. That was the first time that we've met, and it was amazing to see that how it is unnatural. How it is unnatural to all of them who were doing the hate speech part, that they didn't want to do it. But once they started it, it was very amazing to see that they got in a flow, and they were doing it better, doing hate speech better. And on the other part, the countering hate speech was also amazing, because they've experience hate speech at the first hand, and if they haven't experienced it before, but once they've experienced it, it was easier to do the methodology later on, because they have experienced it firsthand. Thank you.
Yeah, you're totally right. Huh? You're getting very popular here, man.
I was before.
Yeah, he promised something to them. So. Yeah, I think it's funny because in Santa Coloma Ambassadors we also did some exercise in which some people were defending, and of course that's also about the echo tool, but we will talk about later about this, but some people being the one, like saying that they hate speech and the others countering. And it happens in all the trainings. People say, oh no, I cannot do this, and after 5 minutes, like, yeah, it's like it's quite easy at some point, and then but that's a very important lesson, like hate speech, disseminate hate speech. It's easier than countering hate speech, right? And it's important, as you say, to feel and not just to talk from theory. So I remember one of the things we did at the beginning was support the ambassadors on doing diagnosis. It's like, okay, imagine that you need to work in a school or in a neighborhood, but you don't know really how are the feelings, how are people, the level of hate speech, or what are the main topics, and of course the hate speech is the top of the iceberg, and we focus really also on the preventive dimension, on starting by the prejudices, the stereotypes and all this. But at the end, even themselves, we start doing in one session a survey, an ideal survey that they will do to people, asking questions about when have you been a victim of hate speech, and what kind of speech was about that. And so they start doing questions, and they were so good that then we say, okay, why don't you do it in real, like that you create a Google form survey, whatever, and then the next session they came with real responses from youth, from a school, from a secondary school, whatever. So we can work on the training with real data that came from the responses of some random, like a number of youth, and it was very interesting because then they had to do some role playing, saying like, listen, you are, for example, local government members in charge of these policies in your city. What would you do to reduce this? Not just in terms of like dealing on the social media or identifying, but I think it's important to have a deeper and a broader vision of where do hate speech come from, why our brains are so easy sometimes to get into the hate speech, and what are also the social institutional dimensions, and how inequalities or how media or how political discourses have an impact on the level of hate speech. So I think it was interesting to try to provide the ambassadors with a big picture, although afterwards, of course, they were not responsible to try to influence all the different fields that affect hate speech, but also have a bigger picture because I think although you can be like giving a more naive idea, like, oh, if we do this campaign, that happens to me in many countries and places, like, let's do a communication campaign and reduce hate speech. Well, this is not just a communication campaign, But anyway, Kingsley, what's your feelings, experience from your group?
Well, hello, I'm Kingsley. I am from Ravenna, Italy, and we talked about stereotypes before, and actually we didn't break a stereotype. We didn't arrive in time yesterday at all, but we are here now and ready to participate with all our energy. And I'm working in an NGO that is working also with the municipality of Ravenna and with the University of Bologna. We are very glad to be here, and we thank them to ask to participate to this project. And well, it was interesting because everything for us started with a meme, and it was how can I say, very not shocking, but something that was for us a very good test. So I understand that hate speech is not just I'm shouting on the web, I'm just a keyboard lion, but it's also something that can be more underground, very invisible. It can start with sarcasm and then it can escalate and grow up. So we as a group, we learn a lot. and we had a very good and interesting training from the expert, from the professor at the University of Bologna. They give us information about not only just how is hate speech in like the definition, but also in which terms you can have from legal side, and some hazard, some dangers from the website, and how you can compromise your digital identity. So we talk a lot about digital identity. That was something that we didn't talk about before, and we couldn't have the time to use the eco tool in now, but we will do after this international camp. We are going to use it in middle school with the students, and we were very interested in this because it's also like a very nice way to use role playing in an educational way. And but what we did was using the WordPress platform, the WordPress portal, with some workers that are inside a different organization, kind of like welcoming refugees and so on. And so we use the third sector as a simulation of what the hate speech can be. The ambassador were the moderator of the portal, so they were all the time like trying to understand which comment could be acceptable or not. And the thing that we saw during this simulation, that was kind of like 1 hour to 1 hour and a half, 2 hours. It was first that we slightly give some information about hate speech on the participants. So some groups where you will use hate speech in the way that you feel hate speech, even if they know anything about the thematic, so that you will use their own knowledge about the topic. And we have the other counterpart that was you will use your knowledge against the hate speech. And we have the third part that was you are not neutral, but you can hear someone and you hear the other one, and then you tour from one side to another one. So there was like this kind of like a undecided party. And it was nice. From my perspective, outsider, I saw for 1 hour and a half, 2 hours, people that were just texting on the keyboard, and for me it was kind of like, okay, this is kind of like a big alienation. And I thought about, okay, maybe in real life you have really person that they are just texting and just commenting and insulting people and just saying silence inside their own room with the light of the monitor. So it's kind of like, okay, that's very Mr. Nobody's thing. And it was nice. And also I really appreciate the work of the ambassador, because they stay focused on all the time. So from the first minute to the last one. And what also we learn, what I was thinking, sorry, because I forget it. No, that was very interesting. And I really also want to know how did you use the Discord so we can implement something new in Ravenna with the middle school. And also the questionnaire, the form is interesting, how to get real data from the people and to use inside the project. No, I think that's one of the main things that we learn. I learn a lot from them. We talk about hate speech like since the project started, also in outside the project, and to bound the group better. We also had an extra moment with us. We use more non-formal educational tools, kind of like we play with Dixit and use Dixit as a projection. So like pick your card that you think is the hate speech, and then we will explain and so on. So we use the image to understand the hate speech better. And the only thing that I can add is thank you to the ambassador and to my colleague Nicola that helped me during this process.
Thank you so much, Kingsley. Okay, you made the question about how did we use the echo tool. So I think now we're moving into the challenges. Before I share the creativity in our site. I mean, we have the technical issues here. So a bit like you, we couldn't use it as I would like to before, but that was, dealing with many different issues. You know, when I was in the municipality of Barcelona, and I remember a long time ago, I had to do a website, and with the IT department was a big deal. You know, like now implementing a tool like this with the complexity of this tool, it's been also complex for here. But we try to very especially first to develop the competences that are needed to use properly the tool, but in the offline world, because it's true that the project it focused really in the social media, in the digital, in the online, but we all know that many conversations, many interactions, they also take place in the non-digital world, but also they can be applied, you know, like on the online. So we follow like the role play and all the criterias, but we create these, you know, debates, so to provide the ambassadors the skills to identify, to moderate, you know. And I think it was very interesting, and to see some people they find more complicated to defend the hate speech than others. Then others are very good at that. But I think they really developed the skills. So now in the next, now we are in a moment to start using it more. But we still think that in different contexts. Yesterday with Jan, we were talking about this. You know, it's not the same if you go to school. Imagine the ambassadors going to a school because they agreed to have like a workshop of 1 hour on how to deal with hate speech, you know, and maybe in 1 hour using the tool is a complex thing because you need some time, you need whatever, but the tool also it's an excuse also to you know, to use other techniques and to apply it in the debate that you can promote in 1 hour in one school. Of course, in other contexts in which you have more time, you have a specific target, it's not like a school, maybe it's a different, then you can use it and you test. But that doesn't mean that it's very important to use IT technologies and whatever to get data, to analyze afterwards. So I think it's a challenge, but it's going to be now a good moment to learn more, but being also realistic that part of the action plans, part of the actions that will be implemented by the ambassadors, in some cases they won't use it, you know. So, but we need to make the most of that situation, you know. So because the main goal is that they are capable to deal with this and that the impact is good. So that's another challenge, you know, how do you measure the impacts of the actions that they will do? Anyway, Fahim, share your experience also with the challenges and the tool. And then afterwards we will give the floor to the ambassadors.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, you were talking about the challenges, and we had quite a few. Because it is not like here in Santa Coloma where it's just one city which is representative in FASTLISA. We have far distances. Some of us had to travel, I know Laura had to travel almost 25 kilometers for the last, if you want to meet in one place. So so what we did was we implemented everything online. And for me as a coach or a trainer, it was very difficult to because if everyone is in one room, you can talk with your hands and explain it way better whether than if it's just on a display somewhere. So what I used to do with this challenge is that I started to use memes. Actual memes, which were in my presentations, to just lighten the mood, and because hate speech is a very depressive. If you just talk about hate speech, it can get very depressive very fast. If you just talk about the problems, so what you have to do is lighten the mood and engage the youth. So they are interested in that, because you know, youth they lose interest very fast. So you have to do it with the videos. What I often did was I implemented videos in my workshops where I would show people who experienced hate speech, but also how you can counter it, and with actual examples of influencers who experienced hate speech. There was one influencer who we discussed, and her name was Dalia. She was a German influencer who experienced hate speech daily. And what we did was we did go to her site and looked at her what she was experiencing and how we can counter it. And it is very interesting to see. I mean, one thing is countering hate speech, but you have to and this is my belief, that you have to make boundaries for yourself. Because once you start countering hate speech, it's just you give them one argument and the other party will just invent something, because they don't have an argument, but they will invent something to hurt you, or say something that will really distress you as a person. So you have to, I mean, it is right that you have to counter hate speech, but you have to take and make boundaries for yourself as an ambassador and as someone who is countering hate speech as well. And it is very important to do so, because then because if you don't, you'll just get depressed, and you will see that everyone is against you. And in Germany, I don't know how it's here, but in digital hate speech, it's like there are groups of trolls, and they use one specific target, and then they go as a group and not as one individual who's just doing the hate speech. They will go as a group, and so you have to counter as a group as well. To really counter it, and to really make the statement against hate speech, and do the likes and comment and do everything to prevent it. And you also. And always, what you have to do is get to the police as well. I don't know what the legal things are in your country, in Italy or in Spain, but in Germany there is no law against hate speech itself. There is no law against hate speech itself. There are laws that prevent other things, which are where the next step is hate speech, but there is no law specifically against hate speech, and that's something that is very hard when you have to go to the police and explain to them why you are going to the police, because there is no specific law against it. You can argue it with other laws always, but there is no specific law against it, and that is in my view, that is a challenge as well, because you need a definition for hate speech, which is accepted by the law and on an academic level as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, the legal dimension here, we had the people from the Autonoma. They came to one of the sessions of the ambassador precisely to explain all the legal and also analyzing real cases. But this is something that we can talk also later and share. But I will go now to listen a little bit from the ambassador. So if you agree, I'm going to give the floor to Mario just to give us some feedback about your experience from the ambassador's perspective. So I'm going to give you the microphone. And I was supposed to translate, but what about if you do that? If you translate? No, because you will have the micro next, and then you can, if you don't mind, otherwise
Sí, després no tens problema, traduir després. Hello everybody, first of all sorry because I'm gonna tell in Spanish, but later my partner gonna translate my experience and what I say now. Después de escuchar lo que han dicho los expertos, me gustaría destacar el papel de la cohesión de grupo en nuestro compromiso como embajadores del proyecto, porque aparte del contenido, que sí que es un elemento fundamental para conformar pues nuestro rol en este proyecto, creo que al final tampoco, al menos con 40 horas o con todo el tiempo que hemos tenido, no llegaremos al nivel de experteza necesario para ser capaces de explicar o de responder al conocimiento del discurso de odio, como podrían hacer los expertos, que al final serán los que nos ayuden en este cometido. En este sentido, la cohesión de grupo... vale.
Well, he basically said that the contents that we studied here were, of course, really important, but he also mentioned the importance of the group cohesion, because we were a group that were together and worked so well. And with the 40 hours that we did of this course, we're not going to be experts as they are, and we're not going to be able to confront hate speeches as the experts do, but we actually did learn how to work together in this group cohesion.
Sí, entonces me gustaría destacar algunos puntos que yo creo que nuestro grupo, y gracias a los formadores y a otra serie de elementos, nos ha permitido pues tener una buena cohesión y conocernos bien y formar al final un grupo de embajadores. Me gustaría decir 3 puntos. El primero de ellos sería, de alguna manera, los valores implícitos, que yo creo que compartimos todos aquí por el simple hecho de formar parte del proyecto, ¿no? Por ejemplo, la solidaridad, la empatía, la preocupación social. Yo creo que de alguna manera, por el simple hecho de querer formar parte de manera voluntaria, ¿no? Sin sacar rédito económico ni nada, pues ya compartimos estos valores que nos unen de alguna manera como grupo.
Well, he first thanked the people that were with us, and he wants to tell you three things that we learned here and that made this cohesion actually exist. And the first one, he said, are the values that we already share, because we all have like these values of solidarity, because we are doing a project with we gain nothing but knowledge, and also have values like solidarity, empathy, and we started with these shared values together.
Sí, el segundo punto que me gustaría destacar es la metodología también que hemos utilizado en la formación, que además de la teoría también ha sido muy dinámica, de mucha interacción entre los miembros del grupo. Hemos hecho incluso escape rooms, ¿no? para conocernos un poquito mejor, y al final pues también con Dani, todos los trabajos en grupo y pensar conjuntamente estrategias son aspectos que también nos han ayudado a fortalecer y a conocernos mejor, y al final pues tener un grupo más sólido.
The second point is about the interaction with the group, that it was not just all theory and theoretical classes, but also really dynamic activities. For example, we did a escape room once, and well, that really helped us to think together and was an element for this cohesion.
And finally, también me gustaría destacar el papel de los formadores y de los técnicos del ayuntamiento, que al final son los que nos han introducido en el proyecto, los que nos han enseñado pues todos los objetivos y las fases en las que nos íbamos a afrontar a lo largo de estas 40 horas. Y sin ellos, la verdad que el grupo pues no sería lo mismo.
And finally, he wanted to thank like the people that did the classes to us, and all the technical people of the city hall that were with us, because without them we wouldn't have been able to do this group and think all the ideas.
Thank you.
I briefly introduce Nia. She is one of the ambassadors from the Italian team.
Thank you. So first of all, I would like to say that the project was amazing, thanks to the group. So I would like to name them all: Eva, Senior, Jazz, Meg, Anna Maria, Jazz, Mattia, Eva Junior, Mattia, Nicola, and Elena. And of course, the tutors, all of them. I like the way we were engaging to learn new skills. And we were all active. The environment itself was very dynamic. Everyone wanted to learn. This is why we were like all in a good feeling together. And I liked it. Like, I don't know if you guys want to add something, but the project, I liked it. It was something new. I have never experienced something like this. It's my first time. And it was interesting. I mean, I'm still here learning. And thank you to all of you. Like, thank you.
Okay, hello everybody. So we all from Germany really enjoyed the workshop. We had the opportunity to have an active say and to express our thoughts and opinions on the topic of hate speech. We also had a thought about things that we no longer notice so clearly in everyday life because they are so internalized in us. Because like writing a hate speech without thinking that it is a hate speech. So exactly for this reason, I think, or we as a group think personally, that the model we used in the workshop to be in the role of a hater or being in the role of a victim helped us to change our thinking way as well as learning from this all things. And it was also really important to have a teacher who helps you understand the topic of hate speech. So we all think that Fahim, our teacher, did a really good job in that, and yes, this is my opinion.
I would like to give the opportunity to any ambassador from any country to say anything else, and otherwise also even, any other person in the room to ask a question, maybe to the ambassadors or maybe to other. If just one moment, if there is any question or person interest, no? Because if we will have a coffee break afterwards, and so and the timing, the schedule of the day is very tight. So I think if we give the organizers 5 minutes more of time, they will really appreciate that. So I just want to finish with a very final, brief reflection about the importance of fighting hate speech. I think when we talk about hate speech, one of the things is that we think that we are not doing this just to protect the victims, to avoid that the people who are the target of hate speech to be the victims. This is obviously a very fundamental and important reason. We know hate speech itself has different impacts in societies. It also increases polarization. It normalizes a lot of, discourses and arguments. It's the top of the iceberg, but below that hate speech, there are a lot of, processes of normalization of prejudice, stigmatization, discriminations, inequalities, etc. But I think, I don't know if you've seen last week the Open Society Foundation. I think they published an international survey, and it had some crazy or amazing results. And one of the most worrying results is that they made this survey in many different countries. Of course, countries in which were under an authoritarian government, others in democracies, etc., different levels of democracies. But the results brought that 46% of people younger than 36 considered that an authoritarian government was better than a democracy to deal with the problems and needs. that was not just in countries under authoritarian governments. That was also, and in France it was 29% of people younger than 36 that think that an authoritarian government is better than a democracy. We could say Italy, Spain, and Germany, and many countries. It's not just like a small minority among the youngsters who have doubts about democracy. So hate speech, it's also about defending fundamental rights and fundamental values, and also democracy itself. So what I'm saying is we are not aware many times, often, about in our surrounding what people are really thinking, and I think dealing with hate speech and dealing with the preventive dimension, which is dealing with the prejudices, stereotypes, rumors, fake news, everything. At the end, is dealing also with the worries of the people, with the concerns. Some people use those concerns and those worries to canalize them into the hate speech and to the stigmatization and racism and xenophobia, homophobia, everything. But I think it's very important to listen people, and to know more what's going on people's minds in daily life. We need to listen more each other, and that's, I think, a very important lesson from all the experiences of these years dealing with the anti-rumors strategy in more than 20 countries and blah blah blah. And people don't really know what people are thinking, are worrying, and people are worried, and they find easy ways to canalize those worries when populist, demagogical politicians, but also other social leaders, they propose a very simple, emotional solutions, and people just buy them. But because also we need to see in a critical way other worries that people have and are not being dealt with. So anyway, I was saying that ambassadors, I don't want to put you to responsibility in your shoulders, but I think what you're doing here, being proactive, being committed to dealing with hate speech, is being committed to defending the fundamental, the human rights and democracy itself. So your role is very important, and you can be proud of this, and thank you very much for your role. Thank you.